Maid Cries holding Billionaire'S baby. The truth will break your heart forever. The night was thick with tension, just like the air in that grand mansion on the outskirts of town. Glittering chandeliers hung like ominous watchers over the opulent ballroom, the shiny surfaces reflecting flickering candlelight. Laughter rang out, but it was sharp, like glass shattering hollow and full of deceit. And then, in the corner, a sound pierced through the clamor, a soft, trembling cry. All eyes turned, drawn like moths to a flame. There she was, Lydia, the maid, crumpled on the marble floor, cradling a tiny bundle wrapped in silken cloth. The baby's delicate features, still new to the world, contrasted sharply against the starkness of the floor and innocent amidst a sea of greed. Lydia's cheeks glistened with tears that shimmered as brightly as the diamonds around the neck of her employer, the notorious billionaire Adrian Blackwood. Her breaths came in quick gasps, each one a mix of heartbreak and desperation. She looked up, eyes wild, as if she was trapped in a nightmare she couldn't escape. "Someone please." She choked out, and the crowd fell silent, breathless with shock. Who would abandon a child in such a place? Whispers slithered through the guests like a chilling breeze. Several onlookers grasped their drinks tighter, faces masks of disbelief. The air pulsed with a strange energy as they processed the absurdity, a billionaire with a secret son. The kind of scandal that could tear apart this wealthy facade in a heartbeat. Just then, the silence was broken by the ringing of a phone. Adrian's phone. He seemed unfazed by the chaos unfolding around him, and yet when he snapped it open, a flicker of panic crossed his face, almost imperceptibly. That thick suspense filled the room, tightening around everyone like a vice. Who was on the other end? What did they know? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Back to the scene, Lydia clutched the baby tighter, as if the weight of the world rested solely on her shoulders. The tension in the air thickened, almost tangible. Every eye was glued to her, wonder and pity mingling as her sobs echoed faintly into the depth of the silence. "He's yours, Adrian. He is," she cried, desperation drowning every word. The crowd leaned in, breath held. How could this be? The richest man in the city, tied in a scandal that could explode at any moment? Adrian stepped forward, jaw clenched, shaking his head. The look on his face switched from disbelief to something darker: anger. The room seemed to vibrate, charged with uncertain energy. A hidden truth hung above them, taunting, threatening to rain down chaos at any moment. Was this child the key to untold suffering, or, perhaps, a new beginning? As Lydia's tears streamed down her cheeks, she whispered, "You have to admit it before it's too late." What did that mean? What was about to happen next? The tension wrapped around everyone like a noose, leaving them desperate for answers. The mansion held its breath, but so did the world outside, waiting for the truth that was about to burst into the light. Adrian's grip on his phone tightened, knuckles white against the device. He looked like a man standing at the edge of a precipice, a vulnerability palpable in the air. As guests shifted uneasily, murmurs rippled through the room, scratches of speculation, doubt, and fascination. Who was the identity behind the abandoned child? Why was Lydia crying out so desperately? Adrian. Lydia's voice quivered, slicing through the whispers like a knife. This isn't just a child. He's your son. You can't walk away from this. The billionaire's expression morphed into something unreadable, a mask forged from pressure and indignation. He took a step back, eyes darting around the crowd as if searching for an escape. "I don't know what you're talking about," he snapped, his calm facade cracking like glass. A gasp washed over the guests. The tension thickened, a palpable force tightening around their throats. A flurry of questions hung unspoken in the air. Why was Adrian denying it? Could it be, after all, the last thing they expected, a scandal that would rip through their pristine lives like a hurricane? Just then, the phone in Adrian's hand buzzed again, pulling his focus. He answered in a clipped tone, "What?" The look on his face shifted from disbelief to alarm, an unsettling flicker of fear flaring in his eyes. Words flowed from the other end, and the color drained from his face, leaving him pale and struck speechless. Lydia, sensing the shift, pressed an unexpected attack. "You think you can just deny him? Why do you think you can run from the truth?" Her voice quaked with passion, and a fire ignited in her eyes. From the back of the throng, a woman emerged, her stature commanding attention. "Enough of the charade, Adrian." Marissa, Adrian's ex-wife, stepped forward, her tone dripping with disdain. A hush swept over the onlookers, the weight of her presence eclipsing Lydia's sorrow for a moment. Her gaze landed on the baby, and shock transformed into something darker. "And to think you played me for a fool. You're just as reckless now as you were then." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Marissa, this is not the time," he hissed, struggling to maintain some semblance of control. "Oh really? When is the time, Adrian?" She shot back, eyeing Lydia like a vulture. "You owe it to that child to own up to your mess. Why should she have to carry the weight alone?" The crowd stirred, caught between their loyalties and the brewing storm unfolding in front of them. The tension radiated like a heat wave, and suddenly, all eyes on Adrian felt heavier, the anticipation suffocating. Everyone held their breath, every heartbeat synchronized with the standstill moment. How would he react? "Lydia," Adrian finally said, voice low and threatening. The tightness in his mouth indicated rage simmering beneath the surface. "You don't know what you're asking for." Before he could continue, the lights flickered ominously, plunging the room into darkness for a heartbeat, and then brightened again. A palpable chill settled deep in everyone's bones, a sense of foreboding whispering danger was on the horizon. Lydia, shaken but defiant, stood tall. "Let them come. If they don't know the truth, they'll never understand," she said, clutching the baby closer, protectively. Adrian's eyes flicked around as if calculating his next move. But before anything more could unfold, another phone call interrupted. This one was buzzed loudly through the mansion's speaker system, an unfamiliar voice booming. "Adrian Blackwood, your time is running out." Gasps echoed, and the stage was set for chaos. What more lay beneath the surface of this tangled web? What truth would burst forth next, unraveling lives irrevocably? In the sudden quiet, anticipation hung thick. The moment had come, and the shadows began to merge into something darker, something potentially deadly. What secrets were ready to emerge from the depths of the past? Adrian's pulse quickened as the disembodied voice echoed through the expansive room. Every guest shifted uneasily, the air thick with suspense. He could feel their eyes burning into him, a cauldron of judgment and curiosity boiling beneath the surface. Lydia's determined stance seemed to brace against the impending storm. "Your time is running out," the voice repeated, each word a dagger. Adrian's heart raced, mingling fear with a growing anger. He wanted to lash out, to deny the accusations and throw everything back at Marissa, at Lydia, and at the world outside. He opened his mouth, but all that escaped was a tormented breath. The vulnerability he felt was suffocating. "What does that even mean?" Adrian snarled, defiance thickening his voice. His eyes burst with desperation as he scanned the faces of his guests. "Who is this?" But the speaker faded away, leaving only silence and the muffled sounds of anxious whispers. The crowd began to stir again, but now it radiated a blend of shock and excitement. He could feel the weight of their energy, the whispers transforming into a low hum of anticipation. Lydia held her ground, the baby cradled like a fragile treasure. "You can't hide from the truth, Adrian. The sooner you accept it, the better for all of us." Marissa interjected, stepping closer. "She's right. Are you really going to let fear dictate your life again? You lost everything once because of your lies. Don't do it again. A flurry of emotions spiraled through Adrian: guilt, fury, and now, a tinge of regret. His mind raced as the faces blurred, thoughts colliding with memories of a past he'd fought hard to leave behind. It would be so easy to walk away, to escape any responsibility, but, was he capable of such cowardice? "Lydia," he started, voice quiet but firm, "you don't know what's at stake. I'm not just talking about me. This isn't just about you or that child, this is about our lives being torn apart again." He took a deliberate step back, the weight of his own choices crashing down on him like an avalanche. "What do you think you're going to do?" Lydia challenged, voice steady, defiant. "Run away again?" "It's not that simple," his voice faltered, the strain washing over him like a tidal wave. He could feel the echoes of his past creeping back in, the loss that had haunted him since the day he walked away from Marissa, the decisions that had led him to this moment so fragile, so volatile. "Adrian." Marissa's voice pierced through his thoughts, sharp and demanding. "Stop being a coward. You're the only one who can fix this. You owe it to them." The name "them" lingered in the air, a spell of unspoken depth. Was it just the baby, or did it extend to the pregnant silence between him and Lydia, an unplanned bond that pulsed with tension? The lights flickered above again, casting long shadows across the room, hiding faces beneath an almost ghostly aura. The crowd began to murmur, excitement mounting as the air electrified with uncontainable energy. Suddenly, a woman burst through the doors, breathless and wild-eyed. "Adrian. I found him. I know who that baby is." Her words exploded like fireworks, demanding attention and drawing every gaze. An icy dread seized Adrian's heart anew. Who was this woman? What would recognize leave behind in its wake? The tension shattered, revealing lines in the sand that blurred with every breath. Facing this new challenge, he felt the precarious balance of his world on the precipice of ruin. With the mystery deepening every second, what awaited them all? As the crowd shifted in restless anticipation, the past and future collided. The truth was creeping closer, and soon, they all would face it. Would they emerge whole, or shattered by the revelations to come? The air thickened with anticipation as the woman stepped closer, her breath escaping in ragged bursts. Adrian's eyes bore into her, trying to decipher her frantic expression. The guests around him shifted like leaves in a storm, their faces caught between hope and horror. "Who are you?" Adrian demanded, his voice cutting through the tension. She hesitated, glancing back as if expecting someone to follow her through the doors. "My name is Sarah. I worked for your mother, Adrian. I know the truth about the baby." Her words were laced with urgency, each syllable dripping with consequence. As she spoke, the room fell silent, all ears turned to her. Adrian felt every heartbeat thrumming in his chest, drowning out the murmurs of disbelief. The weight of Sarah's revelation hung in the air, a fragile thread anchoring him to the ground. "The baby, it's not just any baby," Sarah continued, her voice trembling. "It's yours, Adrian. The world isn't ready for this truth." A chill raced down Adrian's spine. The crowd buzzed with excitement, a cacophony of whispers swirling around him. "What do you mean it's mine?" he stammered, his mind racing to process what she was saying. Sarah took a step forward, her eyes locked onto his. "Your mother wanted to protect you. She thought you'd be better off not knowing, but you needed to know. It's your child, the child you never knew existed." Adrian's heart twisted painfully. The very air around him felt charged, a dark cloud casting shadows across his soul. Images of late-night conversations with his mother flooded back, the veiled warnings, the half-formed stories she told. He swallowed hard, the lump in his throat growing larger. You're lying," he snapped, desperation creeping into his tone. But deep down, a flicker of truth ignited. What if what she claimed was real? The night spent dreaming of a family, the longing for redemption, all tangled up in a web of lies spun by his own past. Am I Sarah accused, her voice rising. Look inside yourself, Adrian. You felt it the moment you laid eyes on that baby. This is your chance to change everything. The murmurs of the crowd flared anew, shifting swiftly from disbelief to an eager examination of Adrian's reaction. Lydia shifted her weight, the baby cradled protectively against her chest like a precious secret. Marissa, too, seemed caught in the whirlwind, her expression morphing from anger to confusion, then resolutely back to Anthony. Suddenly the lights blinked and flickered again, bathing them all in an eerie dance of shadow and light. Adrian felt paralyzed, time slowing, breaths heavy on his lips. He wanted to scream, to run, to hide from the relentless truth closing in on him. Marissa began slowly, her eyes pleading. You can't deny this. We can't allow fear to control us anymore. The voice from the crowd called out, what are you going to do, Adrian? Every gaze locked on him, and he was acutely aware of the scrutinizing faces: family, friends, strangers. He felt the weight of their expectations, their judgments hanging heavy. Just then, another figure shifted in the doorway, casting a long shadow through the dim light. A tall man stepped in, his face obscured but the tension radiating from him palpable. Silence draped over the gathering again, a collective inhalation as they all sensed the gravity of his arrival. Adrian, we need to talk. There's more to this than you know, he called, his voice commanding yet layered with warning. The murmurs rippled through the crowd again, growing into an avalanche of questions. Adrian's mind raced. What more could there possibly be? Wasn't the truth already too heavy to bear? He stood at the crossroads, the avenues of his past colliding with the uncertain future. All this time, he thought he was running towards freedom, but what if he were merely spiraling deeper into a labyrinth of lies? And just like that, the stakes rose higher. The truth was now more than a whisper on the wind, it was a freight train hurtling toward him, and somewhere inside, he felt an uncontrollable urge to finally confront it. What was he to do? Would he face the storm head-on or turn back and disappear into the shadows? Adrian's heart pounded as he faced the newcomer, while the crowd's tension swirled around like a vicious storm. It was as if time had forgotten to move. The air thickened further, charged with unsaid words and unvoiced fears. The man, looming with authority, took a step forward, each movement deliberate. Who are you? Adrian demanded, trying to regain control, though his voice cracked under the strain. I'm Jacob, he said, his tone clipped and firm. I've been trying to protect you from this whole situation. But you deserve to know the entirety of the truth. Adrian could feel the room press in, the weight of its scrutiny almost suffocating. Sarah's words echoed in his mind, a relentless hum of chaos, the baby is yours. He struggled to find footing as emotions battled inside him like raging sea waves. The eyes of Lydia, the baby, and Marissa bore down on him, a sea of expectation crashing into despair. You've got to be kidding, he snapped. More truth. How can there possibly be more? Frustration ignited within him, mixing with dread. You've already dropped a bombshell here. Because it's not just the baby, Adrian, Jacob replied, lowering his voice, a gravity threading through his words. It's about your mother's past. What was done to protect you may now threaten everything you hold dear. Adrian leaned in, urgency gripping him. What do you mean? What did my mother do? You have to understand, Jacob continued, your mother didn't just hide the existence of the baby. She was involved in something much darker. There are forces at play, people who want to control the narrative of your life. They've already tried to eliminate the threat. Adrian felt his breath hitch, a cold sweat breaking out across his skin. Control. Eliminate? What have you gotten me into? Panic clawed at his insides, and he searched Jacob's eyes for answers. But all he saw was the reflection of his own turmoil. The crowd was a living entity, shifting and murmuring, the whispers clawing at him with each breath that left their lips. Marissa stepped forward, casting a defiant look at Adrian, then at Jacob. You can't just drop these truths on him and expect him to swallow them whole. We need clarity. Clarity, the absence of which had driven Adrian mad for years. He could feel the darkness looming, ready to consume him if he let it. Each second stretched into eternity, the clock ticking loud in his ears as if counting down to something inevitable. "Adrian, we don't have time," Jacob interrupted, locking eyes with each person in the room. "If you want to protect your child, you need to make a decision right now. Stay in this place of ignorance, or face the hell that could come." Before he could finish, the lights flickered again, plunging them into darkness for a heart-stopping moment. Panic erupted, and the whispers turned into muted shouts in the chaos. Adrian felt a grip on his arm, steadying him against the sudden fear gripping the crowd. "Seek the answers," Sarah urged desperately. "Don't let their lies bind you. Be the father you can be." "No!" Adrian shouted, the word erupting from a place deep within, overflowing with raw emotion. "How do I know what to believe? How can you expect me to just trust?" Emerging back into hazy light, he caught a glimpse of something in the doorway. A figure lingered there, smaller, casting a shadow of its own, someone outside, watching. His breath caught, a feeling of dread piercing through him anew. The looming presence was an ominous reminder that his past was not finished with him yet. Jacob began again, but the seriousness of the moment shifted. "We need to move. Now." Movement surged through the guests. Questions filled the air, a rush of confusion as faces turned frantic in the flickering light. Adrian's pulse raced. What was out there? What truth lurked beyond the doors? "Are you ready to face your child?" Jacob pressed. Adrian's heart trembled at the weight of it. The weight of fatherhood was suddenly unbearable, tinged with the shadow of secrets stacked against him. "No more lies," Adrian declared with fierce determination, but dread slinked back in, whispering, "What if the truth is far worse?" The room held its breath. It was about to burst. Would he confront the burgeoning reality ahead, or flee further into the dark and twisted paths of the past? As he stood on the precipice of choices, a cacophony of emotions swirled around him. Somewhere, in the depths of his mind, the answer stirred. But the question remained, was he strong enough to face what was waiting at the end of the line? Adrian's mind was a whirlwind of confusion, but at that moment, clarity struck like lightning. He had to protect what was his, even if he didn't fully understand it yet. The room buzzed with whispers as the panic escalated. A woman gasped, pointing toward the doorway where the shadowy figure lingered just beyond the light. "Do you see that?" Someone shouted. "Who is it?" Adrian's eyes locked onto the silhouette, heart hammering. The figure stepped forward, revealing a familiar face, a woman with striking features and an ominous air. His breath caught. "Jessica?" he whispered, disbelief flooding his veins. The gathering erupted with gasps. Jessica, Adrian's estranged sister, who had vanished years ago, stood just outside the threshold. Her eyes were wild, teeming with a mixture of desperation and resolve. "Adrian, you need to come with me," she urged, her voice trembling yet urgent. "It's not safe here. They're coming for all of us." The crowd shifted, eyes darting between Adrian and Jessica. A murmur swept through, a blend of shock and curiosity. Marissa clenched her fists, sizing up the unexpected arrival. "What do you mean they're coming?" Jacob cut in, his expression darkening with concern. "How do you know this?" "The ones who've been watching Adrian," Jessica replied, her voice gaining urgency. "The ones after our mother. They found me. They know he's here." Adrian felt a wave of disbelief crash over him. "Why should I trust you? You disappeared. You left us." "I had no choice," she cried, her voice laced with pain. "Mom had secrets that put us all in danger. I tried to protect you," but her voice faltered as she glanced over her shoulder, eyes wide with fear. The flickering lights dimmed again, suspense hanging thick in the air as tension climbed. Adrian's heart raced dangerously fast. What secrets? For a moment, silence clung like smoke. Maybe he hadn't been strong enough to handle the truth, but he couldn't let fear dictate his actions either. As the seconds crawled, adrenaline surged through him. "I'll explain everything," Jessica said hastily. "But it won't be safe here. You're not just a father now, Adrian. You're the last stand against a history you never chose." With resolve igniting within him, Adrian stepped closer to her. "Then let us go," he declared, ignoring the horrified looks that traversed the crowd. "What about the baby?" Sarah interjected, face pale with fear. "What about Lydia?" "I'll do what I must," Adrian replied, torn but determined. "I can't let this go any further." Suddenly, a commotion erupted from the back of the room. A door slammed open, and chaos broke loose as a group of masked figures stormed in. Adrian's stomach lurched as he took in their menacing presence. "Get down!" Jacob shouted, instinctively pushing Marissa to the floor. The crowd surged, panic breeding panic. But before he could comprehend what was happening, something icy gripped Adrian's heart. His sister reached out. "We have to move now. They want you, both of you." "Adrian!" Lydia cried from a nearby corner. He hesitated, torn between protecting his baby and uncovering the truth before it melted into shadows. But before he could act, a figure lunged towards them. "Run!" Jessica screamed, pulling Adrian toward the exit. His heart pounded as he glanced back one last time, feeling the heavy weight of expectation resting on his shoulders. Would this be the end of the facade he'd grown so weary of, or the beginning of a nightmare? As the cacophony of voices erupted behind him, he couldn't shake the feeling that something far darker awaited them beyond those doors. What secrets using the shadows of family lurked, threatening to engulf him at every turn? The hallway felt like a tunnel of terror as Adrian sprinted, Jessica's hand gripping his tighter with each passing step. He could hear the chaos behind them, a cacophony of shouts, desperate cries for help, and the ominous thuds of approaching threats. The world narrowed down to nothing but the sound of his breathing and the pounding of footsteps echoing against cold metal. "Where do we go?" he gasped, looking to Jessica for answers. "What's happening?" "There's a safe house nearby," it was Mom's. She pressed on, her voice laced with urgency. "They'll track us if we linger. We can lose them if we get to the alley." Adrian's mind raced with questions, but the instinct to protect Jessica, especially now that she had returned, overrode everything else. He couldn't shake off the unsettling feeling that they were being hunted, and with Lydia still in his thoughts, every moment ticked like a bomb. They skidded into the alley, its shadows wrapping around them like a cloak. Jessica slowed, scanning the alleyway, her expression shifting from urgency to something darker. "We can't stay here too long." She broke off, her eyes wide. "I need you to trust me." "Trust?" He clenched his teeth, the raw emotion burbling up inside him. "You vanished for years. How can I trust you? You don't get to waltz back and expect me to just believe everything's fine." "I know. I know." Jessica spat, frustration spilling over. "But I did what I had to do. Those people will tear us apart if we don't stick together." Just then, a low rumble punctuated the air. The entrance to the alley grew darker as a black van rolled into view, gears grinding in protest. Adrian's heart plummeted. "They found us. Run!" Jessica screamed again, but before they made a move, the side door slid open with a creak, revealing 3 masked figures. Adrian's instinct kicked in. They turned to run, but not before hearing a voice that sent a chill down his spine. "Adrian!" The figure shouted, tone sharp like a knife. It was one of the masked men. "You can't escape your fate." Adrian ducked, pulling Jessica with him as shots rang out. Bullets smashed into the brick wall, sending fragments flying. The danger they faced multiplied with each breath. Panic gnawed at Adrian as they darted between dumpsters and faded graffiti. "Over there." Jessica pointed toward a doorway at the far end of the alley. They burst through, panting heavily, but found themselves in a dimly lit corridor. A door loomed ahead, and they rushed toward it, the walls echoing their hurried footsteps. Adrian fumbled with the handle just as a loud bang erupted from behind them. A foot crashed against the door, threatening to splinter it apart. He shoved the door open and forced Jessica inside, slamming it shut before bolting the lock. "What the hell is going on?" he yelled, spinning around. "Why are they after us? What did Mom do?" She discovered something. Jessica's voice quivered. Something that could destroy them, something they've kept buried for years. Her anguish seeped through, their past wounding them both, but now the stakes were higher than ever. Adrian rummaged through his memories, desperate to remember what he could about their mother, the secret she kept, the whispers heard behind closed doors. "What has this got to do with me?" He pressed on, as screams continued to echo from the alley. "You have to tell me everything. It's about your legacy," she said, stepping closer, urgency shining in her eyes. "You're meant for more than just being tied down by their plans. They think you're just a father, but you're the key, Adrian. You and Lydia." In that moment, the implications fell heavily around him like chains binding him to a fate he couldn't yet comprehend. Before he could respond, the door shuddered violently on its hinges. Breaths caught. Sweat coated their skin. "Father?" he echoed, feeling something inside him crack under the pressure. "What do you mean?" "Before it's too late, I'll explain everything." She looked at him with desperation, eyes shimmering with the truth they were on the verge of uncovering, but the door burst open, leaving him with one terrifying thought as they faced the approaching darkness. Would the truth save them, or would it drown him in a nightmare he couldn't escape? The door crashed open, splintering wood flying in all directions. Adrian barely had time to process the intruder's presence before shadows flooded the cramped room. He shoved Jessica behind him, adrenaline surging through his veins. "Get down," he roared, instinct overriding the chaos in his mind. They had no time to waste. The masked figures barged in, brandishing firearms, their intentions clear. Adrian felt a surge of fear for Jessica, for the unborn child that Lydia carried. The reality of fatherhood felt miles away in a moment like this. "Stay back." One of the intruders barked, his voice an iron-grated growl. The figure aimed a gun at Adrian. "You need to come with us now." "I'm not going anywhere with you." Adrian shot back, his heart racing. Panic drilled into his thoughts. "What do you even want?" The response was a cruel smile that sent shivers down Adrian's spine. "We want what your mother took, what she thought she could hide. And you're the only one who can help us find it." Jessica's grip tightened around Adrian's waist. "No. You'll never take him." Her voice was a mix of defiance and terror. They took a step forward, the pressure mounting like a relentless tide. Adrian glanced at the window. It was a risky play, but their only chance. "We need to jump." Jessica's eyes widened in horror. "Are you insane? We can't just now." Without waiting for her response, he turned, yanked open the window, and leaped into the dark alley below, feeling the cool night air whip against his skin. Jessica followed behind, hitting the ground hard but rolling quickly to soften the impact. They scrambled to their feet, breathless and wild-eyed. The night was alive with noise, the distant wail of sirens mixing with the frantic shouts of the gang chasing them. "Where to now?" Adrian gasped, scanning the alley as they dashed forward. He had lost track of which way was safe. "There's a parking lot nearby," Jessica panted, her hair disheveled, blue eyes burning with determination. "If we can reach my old car, we might stand a chance." A sharp sound echoed behind them, making Adrian's heart race. The footsteps were loud, almost crashing against the concrete as the thugs pursued them. He urged Jessica on, pushing through exhaustion, adrenaline coursing through him like fire. "Move!" They rounded a corner, bare legs pumping as they fled into an open lot illuminated by flickering streetlights. Jessica pointed wildly. "There! The red sedan." His heart sank just as quickly. The car looked ancient. You sure it'll start? There's no time. Just get in. Adrian yanked open the door while Jessica slid into the passenger seat. The engine roared to life on the second try, a noise that felt like a victory amidst chaos. They tore out of the lot just as shadows sprinted into its periphery. Go! Jessica screamed as they sped away. We need to head toward the docks. Adrian frowned. The docks? Why there? It's where they've kept the data and the people they've targeted. We have to warn them before it's too late. The message broke through the haze. They weren't just fleeing, they were racing against a clock ticking toward disaster. Adrian felt a lump form in his throat. Electrifying urgency gripped him, pounding within him like a drum, but just when he thought they could escape, the headlights of another vehicle sprang to life behind them, growing steadily closer. Black and menacing, it mirrored the van from the alley. He gasped at the familiar dread creeping back into his chest. This wasn't over, not even close. We're not going to lose them again, Adrian whispered hoarsely, hands tightening around the steering wheel. He glanced at Jessica, who met his frantic gaze with fiery determination. What's the plan? She asked, voice steady despite the chaos around them. We're going to confront them. We can't run forever. I need to know what they want. The thrill and terror electrified the air between them, but as they raced towards the docks, the shadow of impending doom loomed larger than ever. Was he prepared to face the truth of his legacy, to stand against the darkness chasing them, and in the pit of his stomach, a chilling sensation whispered, what if he was too late? They barreled down the highway, intent and desperate, uncertain what awaited them at the docks or if they'd even make it there alive. Would the confrontation reveal answers or more questions? Only one thing was clear, neither of them could turn back now. What awaited them just ahead could change everything. Adrian's heart thundered in his chest as the headlights bore down on them like a predatory beast. Each second felt stretched, time bending under the weight of their desperation. He tilted the wheel, plunging deeper into the tightening maze of the city, where the shadows seemed to conspire against them. Watch out! Jessica screamed, pointing frantically ahead. A trash bin loomed, spilled contents littering the road. Adrian swerved just in time, but the jolt sent pain shooting through his shoulder. Hold on! He barked, pressing down harder on the gas, praying the aged vehicle could keep up with the onslaught. The chasing car was merciless, its engine roaring like a lion, gaining ground with startling ease. Adrian could almost feel the breath of their pursuers on the back of his neck. Panic clawed at him. This was not just for their lives. It was for everything they stood to lose. Just get us there. She urged, her voice a beautiful mix of fear and fight. We need to warn them. They can't fall into their hands. The docks loomed ahead, dark and foreboding, a maze of steel and water. Memories flickered, years of innocence, laughter, and the secrets of a childhood Adrian once cherished. Each memory cut deeper than the last, a reminder of why they were risking everything. As they entered the dock area, a cacophony of sounds met their ears: the clinking of cargo, the distant lapping of waves, and the haunting echo of something lurking. Adrian didn't trust this place, it felt alive with hidden threats. He could feel Jessica's tension radiating beside him, her breath caught as she scanned their surroundings. There. She pointed to an old warehouse, its door ajar, shadows pooling like ink on the ground. That's where they've been keeping the data. Adrian parked the car, adrenaline surging once more. This is it. We go in, grab what we can, and get out. Fast. Right, she nodded, but her eyes betrayed her fear. They exited the car and crept toward the warehouse, each step heavy with dread. The air was thick, carrying whispers of betrayal and memories long buried. They exchanged glances, silently affirming their resolve. As they edged inside, the light barely pierced the darkness. A distant flicker caught Adrian's eye, a laptop left open on a grimy crate, eerie luminescence casting shadows against the walls. There it is. Jessica breathed, her voice a mix of excitement and anxiety. but as they approached, footsteps echoed behind them urgent and close. Adrian's heart dropped. "Jessica!" he hissed, grabbing her arm. "We need to hide." They darted behind barrels stacked against the wall, holding their breath as two figures entered, faces obscured by masks. Adrian recognized the lead figure. It was the man from the alley, a twisted smile etched on his face as he took in the scene. "This will be easy. The kid's here," he sneered, glancing around. "We just need to find him, then we'll finish what your mother started." Adrian's gut twisted. They were hunting for him, for a truth buried too deep to escape. Anger surged, overpowering fear. Did they know what lies were wrapped around his family's history? "What do they want with you?" Jessica whispered, eyes wide. "I don't know," Adrian replied, panic mixing with realization. "But we can't let them take me. It's not just about me, it's about you, the baby, everyone." The man turned slightly, and Adrian caught his breath. He was dangerously close. With a glance at Jessica, they shared a split-second understanding. It was now or never. "On 3, Adrian whispered, counting down. He felt the tight grip of resolve, fear burning away as he braced for the confrontation. 1, 2. A deafening crash broke the silence outside, a distraction pumping adrenaline through his veins. Gunshots rang out, followed by frantic shouts. The thugs spun around, confusion momentarily freezing them in place. "Go!" Jessica urged, and without thinking, they bolted toward the flickering laptop. Adrian felt the weight of looming danger, and an instinct pulled him forward to uncover the truth, to unravel the secrets swirling in the shadows. But as they grasped the laptop's screen, the world around them exploded in chaos, spilling onto the docks like wildfire. What truth lied within the data? Would they uncover more than they bargained for, or would the darkness consume them both before they could find out? Adrian's thoughts raced, and as he left the shadows of the warehouse, he knew the fight was just beginning. What awaited them in the open night was far more than they could ever prepare for. Adrian's pulse still raced as he and Jessica exploded into the reflected chaos of the docks. The night air, heavy with the smell of salt and secrets, wrapped around them like a noose. Gunfire still echoed in the distance, filling the silence with jarring finality. This was real. The danger was there, palpably close, and time was slipping from their grasp like sand through fingers. "Where are the others?" Adrian's voice cut through the clamor. Fear ignited his words as he scanned the darkened corners of the dockyard. Jessica clutched the laptop tightly, its weight a reminder of the truth they desperately needed. "I don't know, but we'll find them," she urged, looking unflinchingly toward the old warehouses. The growing sounds of voices approached, gravel crunching under heavy boots. "Quick!" Adrian pulled Jessica behind a stack of crates, heart thudding like a drum, every breath laced with urgency. "We can't let them see us." Adrian felt the warmth of adrenaline racing, mixing with a newfound sense of resolve. This had to end, and he'd be the one to end it for his child, for Jessica, and for the haunting truth they had yet to uncover. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught his eye. From behind another crate, Marissa emerged, her face fierce with determination. "Adrian!" she called, rushing over and lowering her voice under her breath. "The masked crew is here. We need to get back to the car." "What about Lydia?" Adrian blurted out, panic seizing him. "She's safe. I left her with some friends nearby," Marissa reassured him, the urgency in her eyes indicating that safety was ever elusive. "But we must move now." Just then, the lead thug from earlier rounded the corner, his shadow stretching grotesquely under the dim, flickering lights. Adrian's gut twisted. He couldn't let fear grip him. "Go!" Adrian's voice was a fierce whisper, directing Marissa and Jessica to slip away. He moved deliberately, ready to confront the fiend that sought to destroy everything. The man paused, spotting him, his lips curling into a sinister smile. "You think you can run back into the darkness? You'll never escape this. This isn't a game." Adrian shouted back, bracing against a wave of anxiety. "You don't know what you're messing with." "Oh, I think I do," the thug sneered, stepping closer. "I know exactly what your mother kept hidden. But I'll make it much easier for you to reveal it." Adrian's heart thundered. "You're wrong," he spat defiantly. "I'll be the one who uncovers the truth." The two squared off like the eye of a storm, but just then, sirens wailed in the distance. Panic ignited a wild energy in Adrian. "Run!" he yelled, lunging forward. He pushed past the thug, adrenaline surging as he raced down the dock with Jessica and Marissa hot on his heels. Adrian pushed through the twisting maze of crates and barrels, leading them toward the flickering lights of their getaway car parked further down. Suddenly, behind them, shadows converged, voices raising in furious shouts. The thug barked orders, desperate and terrifying, as he and his crew pursued them, weapons gleaming like snakes in the night. Adrian urged his feet to move faster, fear and determination locking together like a vice in a whirlwind of chaos. They reached the car. Adrian flung open the door, shoving Jessica inside. Marissa slid in beside her, heart racing with the promise of safety. He jumped in, slamming the door behind him. Adrian punched the ignition, the engine roaring to life like a wild beast. They shot forward, tires screeching against the pavement, the world blurring past them in a rush of noise. "What now?" Jessica gasped, breaths heavy with fear and triumph. "We need to get to the docks," Adrian replied, clarity igniting a fire within him. "Eddie's still there, the key to all of this. We must find him before it's too late." The urgency pressed against them like an iron weight, and Adrian maneuvered through the streets while adrenaline thundered in their ears. The docks loomed ahead, dark and turbulent, and in that moment, he felt something shift within him. "Adrian." Jessica tugged on his sleeve, her face tense. "What about your baby? What if they're still looking for him?" He met her gaze, the truth shining clearly between them. "We fight for him. We fight for everything, the life we deserve and the truth that should never have been kept from us." As they sped toward the docks, Adrian felt the weight of his past and future collide. Redemption beckoned like a lighthouse through thick fog. Now they weren't just running from the truth, they were racing toward it. When they reached the docks, chaos erupted again. Eddie, old and weathered, stood at the ready, as if expecting them. His eyes widened at the sight of Adrian, flanked by Jessica and Marissa. Finally, Eddie breathed, urgency etched in his features. "There's not much time, you need to know everything before they arrive." The fate of their family hung in the balance, a dramatic whirlwind of secrets and shadows waiting to be unveiled. As the gravity of that moment set in, Adrian steeled himself. With resolve blooming in his chest, he would discover the truth for himself and fight to protect the innocent life that stood to be forever changed by it. Every heartbeat pressed him forward. They would confront the unseen specters of his past, unearthing every twisted layer to safeguard their family's legacy. This was only the beginning of a battle that would reveal more than just secrets. It would redefine who he was meant to become. Suddenly, a thud echoed from behind them, sending chills down Adrian's spine. The masked figures had come. "We can't wait any longer. We need to move," Eddie urged, urgency dripping from his words as tension fueled the moment. "Let us go," Adrian replied, a firm resolve settling within. With the weight of their choices heavy, each step forward would ripple through destiny's thread, unraveling hope in the face of darkness, embracing the uncharted path ahead. "Adrian." Jessica grasped his hand, eyes filled with uncertainty yet tempered with courage. "Face this together. We've come too far." "Together," he confirmed, ready for whatever lay ahead, fortified by the power of family and the unyielding truth bubbling beneath the surface. As they plunged into the unknown, Adrian knew one thing this time: he wouldn't back down. Not from the truth, nor from the monsters lurking in the shadows. "Before we wrap things up, I need to shout out to you. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash the like button now, it fuels the algorithm and keeps us going. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this finale. Your voice matters. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't leave us hanging. Let us keep building this incredible community together.